Welcome to the Hustle or Bust podcast powered by Paver Arts. Our mission is simple: to dive deep into the world of entrepreneurship, small business, and all the success, struggle, and challenges that need to be confronted in the pursuit of growth. We celebrate the entrepreneurial spirit, but perhaps most important, we want you to learn at least one idea that you can put into action immediately to make your investment in time worthwhile.
Welcome to episode 22 of the Hustle or Bust podcast, moving from product function to lifestyle brand. When businesses start, they are often consumed with product functionality and finding product market fit. The successful businesses do this quickly. However, industry leaders think bigger. They tap into the broader lifestyle trends and their brands become central to it. In the world of outdoor living, Techo-Bloc captures this as good or better than anybody. We are lucky to be joined by Paver Pete and Ryan Ravalli at Techo-Bloc. We covered a ton of ground and we learned a bunch. We hope you pick up a nugget or two and drop us a line with some feedback.
Now in studio today, we've got two colleagues, and I consider both of you guys colleagues. We're all in the same business, more or less. Who are part of the hardscaping industry, specifically a manufacturer of hardscapes known as Techo-Bloc Corporation. With us today are Ryan Ravalli and
Thank
Pete
you for having me.
Baloglou. Good afternoon. How's everybody doing?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you guys. Ryan, I wanted to start with you. You're listed as the sales representative for the Jersey Shore area. Would we fall into that area, do we not?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
we do. Yeah.
But sales representative just doesn't seem to be enough for you. What give us some background. Where do you come from? How did you get into this? How long have you been with Techo? That sort of thing.
I've been in the industry for about 15 years now. First 7 were spent with Oldcastle, and then I came aboard with Techo-Bloc about over 8 years ago, and just been growing within Techo-Bloc, and I do more than just outside sales for Techo. Do a lot of training, social media training, working with Pete for educational, just always there being a helping hand for anyone in the industry, help whether it's trying to sell our products, but also bettering the contractors. So
Did you have a background prior to coming into hardscaping?
No, I came out of college at Delaware Valley University in Pennsylvania.
And you went right into hardscaping?
Pretty much. Took about 6 months off. My father told me it's the last time you can do this, so take 6 months off and relax and enjoy it after you graduated, and then start searching. So I started searching probably around like October after, and then by December I got a job with Oldcastle, working with doing the home centers, the big box stores, running those lines. So I had about 100 of those stores, and then grew them, and territory changed a little bit around, and then after couple years growing that and decided looking for a little bit more. I just looking around and happened to see Techo-Bloc. And the funny story is I actually, when I saw it, I applied for it. I was smiling and I said, I better get a call for this because I hit every single box that they're looking for. And no doubt about an hour later, I got a call from the manager at the time, Chris. He wanted to meet me the next day. And crazy meeting him and great conversation, and then all of a sudden we just he said, I'm hiring you. But later on I found out when Chris told Pete that, Pete told him, no, you still got to interview some other guys first beforehand, before you make the decision.
Well,
now I'm here. So
you're deep sales background.
Yes,
that's your expertise.
So within the industry.
Yep.
But I use social media and sales, coinciding it to work for both of it and helping everyone and just building relationships.
Cool.
More of just a relationship and just helping people out, which has built my territory and my area overall. Now I work with Pete and we do a lot of social media training and helping and analyzing just to bring little tips and tricks up. And
are you dealing with distributors and contractors one-on-one?
Yes.
Okay.
Within my market, but then I do also help outside. People know me from helping out, so I've gotten calls from North Carolina that Pete's shared my contact, or I've gone on trips with Pete and other reps in the other territories to help them out, and I just get pulled in and helped out, and just a helpful hand. So
awesome.
Lots of knowledge. So.
Well, it sounds like you've got it well underfoot. And by the way, I'll attest to the fact that he's social media savvy, because the first
Taught us a
time
few tricks.
that's you took the words right out of my mouth. You taught us a few tricks too.
Cool. Happy to help.
We thought we were pretty good, no, but you had you're pretty much next level. So good for you.
Cool.
Good for you.
Thank you.
The other gentleman seated across from us, Pete Baloglou, better known in the hardscape industry and other industries as Paver Pete. Now, just real quickly, where did that come from?
We were doing TV shows before HGTV and DIY Network existed, and I was on a TV show, and the host, one of the famous hosts, couldn't say my last name as well as you can, and the Paver Pete, just kind of came out. We were on the governor's mansion in Richmond doing a big project and with paving stones, and I was new. This is early '90s, and it just kind of stuck.
How do you get that gig? I mean, seriously, early '90s, you had to be in your 20s.
I graduated from college in early 93, I think, 92, 93.
By the way, in accounting.
In
We
accounting,
need to
yeah.
throw that in there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, well, we teach a lot of job pricing, training, overhead recovery, understanding expenses and budgeting, cash flow, and all. So we teach a lot of that to the contracting, help them learn it. There's a lot of great softwares out there that do that, but having bid lots of work and interacted with contractors all over the world, you pick up a lot of tricks in 30-something years and get to help them understand their numbers better. And then, like I said, there's some great consultants out there, but I think at Techo we have a pretty good job pricing training seminar, and it's in a lot of demand. I'm teaching it next week in Nashville. So
You went right into the hardscape business out of school?
yeah. When you graduate with a degree in accounting and hate being inside all day,
Good option, right?
yeah,
My degree's in it.
yeah, absolutely want to get outside. And I met a family that owned a block plant that eventually bought into the paver industry, and was with them for 10 years. Went back into contracting with a friend of mine, and then I've been with Techo almost 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 19 and change, I think. Yeah.
Well, when I look at the number of headings that precede you, I had to cull it down to 3 that I thought were important. Sales coach, I think, that goes without saying. It's almost like you're wired for that. I mean, that seems to be something that you just naturally you've fallen into, but you've had lots of years of experience gained that can be turned over to contractors and whoever that you're talking to in regards to selling. And we'll get into the systems approach that you've enlisted. But you're also listed as the Director of Education and Information. That's got to be the only position in all of the hardscape industry where a company actually has somebody that just does that.
You would think so. And 17 or 18 or 19 years ago, that probably was the case. The owner of Techo-Bloc, the family, decided that they're going to take me out of sales and make me a coach for contractors and dealers and reps. And that was a bold move almost 20 years ago. There was nobody doing that. There was nobody taking, and I was pretty good at helping contractors and distributors be successful in moving hardscape products to clients and making sure everyone's happy in that win-win-win-win chain of manufacturer, distributor, contractor, and client, or homeowner typically, but commercial client. But they took that, and we started our showcases and our traveling road show. We were as high before COVID, 53 cities that we did in 3 months. We're at 25 or 30 now. We're kind of building back up to those, hitting all those cities.
Are you hitting each one of those cities too?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm part of a team. I'm one of the co-instructors. We do a lot of practice. It may seem flawless and smooth and coming up and down off the stage and live demos and cameras. We have a great AV team that supports us, but it's a lot of work to get to You know, our biggest shows are 1,000 to 1,500 contractors at one show.
Sure.
Which is an amazing thing to see.
Sure.
That many hardscapers moving into a seminar and moving out for a break to go talk to vendors and then moving back out for lunch and then back in for more. It's a lot of people.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
Now, you guys are the first. We've done 21 episodes. And our podcast, we're kind of industry agnostic, right? So we'll talk to we've talked to 2 comedians, we've talked to a few small business owners, and then Mike and I going back and forth. But I'd like for you, Pete, how do you define the hardscaping industry for people that they never heard of the word hardscaping? What is it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, you know, greenscaping, very common, or landscaping, very common term, and probably a term that most people resonate with. You know, I'm getting my landscaping done. But the hardscaping is the side that doesn't die, you know, just to put it simply. I mean, yes, we're digging holes and we're using aggregates, but what we are doing, the pillars, the patios, the pool decks, the retaining walls, the outdoor kitchens, the outdoor seating areas, the outdoor fire features, elevated water features, all those things are forever. I mean, we have lifetime transferable warranties on our product. I mean, they're there in your landscaping. And you know, when you go to buy a home or you go to buy a property and you see that it's been hardscaped, it doesn't require any maintenance. I mean, you could care for it. There's some cleaners and protectants that are, I think, appropriate at times. But you know, that it adds value to the house. You have now a 2,500 square foot home and 1,500 square foot of outdoor home, right? That's part of that purchase.
Right.
Whereas the evergreens and deciduous trees and the shrubs and all those things that are beautiful, and I'm a big fan of them, you know, they're not really adding the value that, you know...
Not permanent.
That a driveway would, you know,
Right.
with what you guys do, and, you know, the big eagle images and the American flag images and, I think, you know, Canadian flag images and all those kinds of great things that you guys do. But, you know, you drive up to buy that property, that home, or whatever it is, and you go, wow, this is someone who loves this.
Right.
Right?
Now,
And they took good care of it.
I'm curious because I'm the newbie on the table. I've got 4 years. You guys have 20 plus years. Yeah. Did this term outdoor living exist 20 years ago or 25 years ago when you started in the business?
Not really. We're very myopic, I think. Kind of, you know, blinders on the horse. You know, we sell a piece of concrete that's shaped like a stop sign and a little square attached to the end of it.
Yep.
And there's edger units. Don't forget the edger units. It's very myopic, but now it's grown. I think the contractors are the driving force behind that. They see opportunities to put not just a grill, you know, and the evolution was, we're putting a grill island in. You know, now you got griddle. He's got a beautiful hibachi griddle in his backyard.
Cool.
Spectacular. He's got a grill. Smokers, wood-fired ovens.
Right.
You know, all these things. And it's now to where you think, why am I cooking inside? It doesn't make any sense to cook inside. I got the smell, I've got the smoke, you know what I mean, and I'm crowded, and you know, I can go outside and I've now
spread out.
Yeah, I have a quarter acre. I have a half an acre of land, and I've got this ability to interact with food and drinks and all these things with lots of space around me.
Right.
So I think a lot of that's changed, and there's great companies out there. Aquascape is a great one out of Chicago with ponds and all that, and that's a great component of a landscape and a hardscape package. But you know, there are aqua basins where you have elevated water features with stacked stone urns and water and fire coming out of them, and you know, great fire pits like we make. You know, very modern, contemporary, elevated features that you know, have nice windscreens around them, and you can set your glass of wine or, you know, a beer or whatever. You know, the kids can sit around there and make s'mores. And now there's something to do. The days of us selling a patio, which is just pavement that keeps the dogs from tracking mud into the house and the kids from tracking mud into the house, to now, let's go outside. Why are we inside? There's more things. There's putting greens. There's water features. There's fire features. There's cooking features. There's all these different things, you know, shade structures and sails and pergolas and all these things that are going on outside. Why are we inside? You know, looking at our iPhones or looking at our tablets or a TV.
Sure.
You know, it's...
Well, hearing you talk through it, there's a lot of imagery involved, right? So you're not building a concrete patio. It's the wine, it's the barbecue, it's the experience of outdoor living, right? And then I don't know if social media, you might have an opinion on this, Ryan. Has social media taken this and put it on steroids, kind of this experience aspect of.
It definitely helps.
Right, now I'm on Instagram, and I'm gonna show my wine in front of the fire pit, right?
The ideas that people are getting are from what people are posting, and then combining what they like and saving what they like, and then bring it to the contractors. I like these ideas, and they're growing, and then the contractor in that way is actually able to upsell and use it that way. I mean, I try to show contractors how to save posts that they want, so they can show certain things. Like in my social media, I have a whole save section for each product that we have. So when I have clients looking for certain products or certain colors, I can go to that one product and look for that one color, and I have maybe 100 jobs of blue saves that I like, that I think that stand out. Just
Blues are 3-piece slab, slate or smooth texture, so rustic or modern texture. I think you used the wrong word though. It's upserve. Not upsell. You don't really need to sell these to people. They'll buy them. Right. I mean, the images that you guys create are just spectacular.
Oh, thank you.
And if you see them, there's not a whole lot of selling that goes into it, right? This eagle, this flag, this logo, this sports team. Some of the sports team stuff that you guys do is, you want it. You know what I mean? How much is it? When can I get it?
Right.
You know what I mean? Do you take credit card? Can I send you a check? How about a carrier pigeon?
You're making us blush.
But the same with us. I mean, we make spectacular products. They have a spectacular warranty. They have very little care that is required for their long-term enjoyment. Some of the products are pre-protected. You don't have to do anything to them.
When we were talking before the pod, before we did a little shop tour, it was very clear to me that channel strategy is the word that kept popping up. For you guys to be successful as a manufacturer, you've got to deal with multiple people, correct? Distributors. Talk through what does it take to be successful if you're a manufacturer in your business, for it all to come together?
I think you asked the question incorrectly. Have to deal with. I think we like to deal with. I'll take Ryan as an example and his relationship, just because I've been with him for the last couple days, and we have another meeting tomorrow, and then I head back to Cleveland, where my family and my old cars are, which is fun. But we enjoy it. There's a bond that gets created between the channel distribution model, whether it's a bigger group of companies that have been acquired and now are forming a family of their own. The relationship we have with them is very strong. Whether it's an independent that it's a mom and pop, and they've handed it down maybe through a generation or two. The bond, is an example between Ryan and that store is extremely strong. An example yesterday, we were showing specialty tools for the installation of Hardscape. I don't know that we ever really talked about our products. Yeah. I mean, we built a little wall because we needed to build a wall to show how these things worked, but it wasn't about our steps or our wall or our concrete paving slabs or our paving stones or plank stones. It was about, here's a tool that's going to make your life, way better. And I think when everyone left, they're kind of scratching their heads, and Paver, Pete, and Ryan Ravalli were talking to us about tools they don't sell. The
So
dealer sold them.
Right.
Yeah, but we were showing them. We're experts at how to use these tools, and they get that. They get that we genuinely care about their business, want them to be a success. When they're bidding these outdoor living spaces, we would appreciate that opportunity to, be incorporated into them in some type of retaining structure or paving structure, something like that. But we're really here because we love you and we want to help you succeed.
Interesting. So I'm assuming that's a cultural thing within Techo-Bloc.
Oh, absolutely.
That's embedded in the DNA of the organization, right? Starts with the owner.
Since 1989, 30. Right. Yeah, that's right. And the owner has family members who are still landscape contractors, hardscape contractors, and still do it every day and interact with them and to go to their house and watch them have dinner and everybody's yelling across. They're Italian, so there's a lot of arm movements.
Sure.
and a lot of yelling, but no one's really mad. They're just kind of yelling across.
They're Italian.
Yeah, they're Italian.
They're trying to make their points.
Same with Greeks. I'm Greek. Same with Greek. And the learning that's going on in that environment is just inspiring to see, because they're living it every day out in the field, and we're making it every day in manufacturing sites, and that interactions, and that's one of the great things about our showcase.
Sure.
30 cities, we get. You told the story earlier about trying to talk to me at the end of a showcase. Pretty hard thing to do, because I'm shaking hands and and talking to people, and they're explaining to me, hey, I have this idea, or hey, I used this product and really loved it, or hey, I'm struggling with how to price this or how to market that. Usually marketing, I push it Ryan's way, Hardscape Social. But having those discussions, our seminars may be 4 hours long, but we're there for 8 hours, answering questions in the morning and in the afternoon. And that culture, that family, I think people reward us with purchases because of that.
It's interesting. I think when you look at the mission statement of this podcast, probably the key core value of this podcast is that we celebrate the entrepreneurial spirit. And the guys that are in our industry, I would think all of us in this room can say that, you can't get more entrepreneurial than a contractor, a hardscape contractor. It's hard work, number one. Number two, you have to run a business. Now, what I found interesting about your approach, the systems approach to sales, can you elaborate on that a little bit? You seem to be really, really passionate about that. And by the way, you're very honest and you're upfront and you brook no bullshit. Okay? You brook no bullshit. And you tell somebody exactly what you think about their particular issue, whatever it might be. But when you're talking to a contractor and you're dealing with a contractor and you're talking to them about this systems approach to sales, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think first there's the sales process, that when you're talking to a contractor, you have to have a process that you follow. So you say the job depends on the size of the company. The job's under $5,000 to do the job. Okay, that is going to be done on the phone. It's going to be one visit. It lasts 1 hour. Okay, the job's over $15,000. That's one visit, 2 phone calls. It's over $50,000. Okay, that's 2 visits, 3 phone calls, and X amount of time per visit. Job's $150,000. It's $500,000. It's $1 million plus landscape package, right? And this is a process, and you have to do that in writing. Commonly called the way. And this is the way we do business. Somebody who wants a $3,000 walkway doesn't get 2 visits, doesn't get a rendered, animated, computer rendered drawing of their walkway that they can put virtual reality glasses and walk up. I mean, there would be no profit left in it, and the company has to be profitable in order to service them and do more work for them in the future. So the clients should expect that the contractor is profitable and hope that they are, and not beat them up on nickels and dimes, because you want dollars worth of value is what you're shooting for. So that's the process. The cycle, which should be followed every single time on every single visit, should begin with respect. People walking blindly into someone's home, knowing nothing about them and their needs or wants, is ridiculous.
You refer to something called create the habit. Is that in this part of the process?
This would be a habit. To follow a sales cycle every single time would be a habit. And I do it every single time. On our way here, we were talking about you guys and your history and what we know about you and what we know about companies that have done what you've done over the 30 years I've been in the business. So yeah, I want to walk in here and know a little bit about who you guys are and what you do. That's right. That's just respectful for me to walk in here and to tell me what you do. You're like, really? You didn't go to our website? You didn't look at our social media post? Nothing? I mean, that's respectful. And a lot of people call this pre-qualification, pre-qualifying the client. I just think that, I got to respect my own time. I'm a busy guy, and I got to respect your time, because you guys are running a great operation here, and I don't want to come in and waste your time. I want to bring value every time I show up somewhere, and that's respect. The next is direction. Having a direction for every question that you ask. Where are we going? Right? And how can I help you get there? And that's the upserve. Let me help you get to where that is. And that's very important. The next is the definition of sales, which is trust. People giving you money, that's their way of saying, I trust you. I'm going to give you, for a compass rose, X amount of dollars. They're saying that when we get it, we're going to be impressed. We're going to love it. They're saying with that amount of money that they trust you. So you have to build trust. And there's a way to do it. There's time and rapport skills that can be taught and learned, and time that can be consumed to get that. The next is to learn. and that's where your system knowledge. You keep talking about system knowledge. Techo-Bloc is probably the best at helping the contracting community understand the systems: permeable pavement, interlocking pavement, concrete paving slabs, plank stones, segmental retaining walls, pool decks, all those different. There's systems there, and there's a mechanism, and there's steps that need to labor, equipment, material, and subs that need to be consumed in each one of those steps to achieve that decking or that water feature or that fire feature. So helping them learn, sitting at a kitchen table or at a boardroom is very important. When I'm done talking to you about permeable pavement, segmental permeable pavement, you're going to say, I don't know why we haven't done this before, because you're going to see that much value in it, in that process. A lot of people say the next step would be to close, and I hate that word because that means the end of a relationship. Right.
Should be
We'd
the
like to
beginning.
continue, so this needs to be more follow up. This needs to be making sure you're happy. How do we make sure that that the purchase of this beautiful eagle and flag logo that you've gotten from us has really set you off. You really you want to tell your friends about it, members of your congregation, co-workers. Look what I just got. This is so awesome. And so this is the cycle. This is the process, and put the two together, and that's name the company, the Techo-Bloc way, the Paver art way of making sure that something someone invests in is valuable to them.
Do the contractor world that you guys deal with, is that defined, or is it all over the board in terms of how methodical they are? Is it documented? Does it need to be on paper, or can they kind of just go through the motions? Or what's your experience with? Is that happening in the real world,
Something along those lines.
or is that the opportunity?
No, sometimes, but overall, no,
Yep.
it's not. But contractors, the number 2 failed business in the United States.
Is that right?
Number 1 being restaurants, right? Which
I did not know that.
Go out of business very frequently, and you can look on some of the search engine sites
Right.
and find out why when you read their reviews. But a contractor has to be great at job pricing, right? Which is accounting, that's a profession for someone. They have to be great at marketing, right? That's why I surround myself with great people like Ryan Ravalli, Hardscape Social,
Sure.
right? Because he makes me better and teaches. He heads up our social media subcommittee and pushes us all to be better at digital marketing specifically, but also traditional marketing campaigns. The contractor has to be great at sales, which is what we just talked about, helping people make an informed buying decision. And then 4th is installation. And they have to do great work, and they have to do it fast. And that's, we're talking about specialty tools like Pave Tool. We were doing some training yesterday. So contractors do these 4 things really, really well to a very high level to be profitable and successful and reach the end of, 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 10 retirement goals and sell their company and be able to relax.
When you look at the system, and Ryan, please chime in on this too. What part of the system, in your experience with contractors, is the hardest for them to grasp or expedite and actually be successful at that particular part of the system? Is there any particular part that's tougher to grasp and manifest than any other part?
I think marketing
As a
has
general
always been
rule.
harder for guys because it's always ever so changing. With websites,
Is it a time issue? Is it what do you think it is?
time because they're working on fielding the phone calls and then weeding out the jobs they don't want to do or they shouldn't do. Then have to get the quotes back to people. We've all heard in our industry and other contractors overall how they never called. I never get a call back. I never get a call back. They're so busy doing so much. It's hard to get back together around. It's the follow up. It's always the hardest thing to do, and that's the most important one though.
Yeah.
The follow up is to return back. So I have friends of mine who I've referred contractors to, contractor companies to them. They've called them, and even though the contractor knows it's one of my friends, they also are so busy that I sometimes have to remind them, hey, you owe my buddy a call back, and then they get right back to it. But they're really busy and they're overwhelmed. running a company themselves, and marketing is not always typically the biggest point for them to remember. And going into how the years are looking, future years, marketing is going to be very important for these companies to keep going. Making sure the past few years the phone just rang constantly, not just
The wind was at their back.
it was no problem. Yes, they didn't have to spend money on
Great
marketing.
point. Yeah.
Nowadays, guys might have to start investing a little bit more on Google AdWords, social media boosting, or just cleaning up the social media so it looks cleaner, so it's easier to read and people want to follow. And then whether they give your company name to a friend of theirs, it's thinking something. Social media is one of the best ones to focus on, I think, because one, you can start doing it kind of low price. You can try to grow organically and locally for a contractor. For me, I like growing and letting people see everything that I could show. Me and Pete, Paver Art, obviously nationwide, we want to grow nationally. For contractors, they need to focus on the townships where they're going to be working in. So, and targeting townships that are possibly high dollar, whether it's near Philadelphia, a higher Westchester, Pennsylvania, or New Jersey, whether it's Colts Neck or Freehold, and those higher, more dollars could be spent if those guys work in those areas. So it's using geolocation, tagging certain townships potentially, certain groups that might reshare, or being involved in those groups, so they reshare it.
I think I'll give you my perspective on it. I couldn't agree with you more on the marketing one. I can't relate it to the other ones, but I'm amazed. There's still, I don't know if it's once every 6 weeks, you'll get a question, hey guys, do you think I should have a website? And they actually start debating on the fact that how should my digital marketing presence be? I really don't have one. Got a Facebook page, haven't really built out a website yet. 2022, we're still having this debate. And there's still people out there without a basic, and I've always said, in the world of marketing, you are what Google says you are. Mm-hmm. End of story. Now, you might have a neighbor that had a great experience on an outdoor living project. They used Techo-Bloc with contractor A, and that gets an easy referral. That's the best type of advertising or word of mouth. But if you don't, they're going to Google, and they're going to type in Scotch Plains, New Jersey patio installer, or whatever it is they type in. And if you're not there, very good chance you're going to miss the opportunity completely.
Yep, exactly.
I think. I mean, it's almost like there's a level of they haven't jumped in with 2 feet on the marketing. I don't know what percentage that is.
Well, the companies that survived the Great Depression, which was 11 to 13 years long, depending on who you talk to, were the ones that marketed their way through it.
Right.
But I would disagree that you need to have a website, and I wasn't involved. I'm on the Hardscape Contractors of North America, but I think a lot of these smaller companies, $250,000 and below gross sales, should just have a Facebook page.
True. I agree with that.
Should have, a digital presence there and a traditional presence with, local home shows or postcards or door hangers.
Right.
And, there's a lot of ways that a small company that may be only doing $100,000 in gross sales.
Better use of time.
Can grow. Yeah, I mean, just the creation of a website, by the time they create it, it's out of date.
True.
You know what I mean? And the maintenance to keep it fresh, so that whether it's DuckDuckGo or Yahoo or whoever, whatever search engine they're using, they're all aware that it hasn't been touched in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or a year. So it's not just the creation of it, whereas you can set up a Facebook page today
and keep it updated.
Keep it updated.
Yeah, sure.
You could have a LinkedIn profile. You could have a Instagram, profile that
sure.
Cost you very little, and you supplement that with lawn signs in the neighborhood you're working. And I would disagree a little bit with what Ryan said is not everybody's going to be working in high-end communities in Westchester or whatever. I mean, I live out in the Midwest now, but whatever it is, I mean, if you work for people who own homes that are $150,000 or $150,000 to $225,000, whoever they are, they need walkways and patios and outdoor features. Whoever that audience is, it's right for you. Let's right-size our marketing. Let's right-size our sales process and cycle to that audience and go out there and service them and make sure they're happy. There's a lot of people that live in modest homes that could really benefit from a 6 foot wide grand entrance walkway that might be $3,000 to $5,000, and it might be 3 to 5 years before they can afford to do that again. But when their Italian or Greek family shows up, you got this great seating area, you got this great, permeable pavement walkway and a little sitting wall, or maybe a fire feature in the front yard, which is something that is underutilized in our industry. Even an image, the compass, the flowers that you guys create are just spectacular. Even in the winter.
Sure.
Or heated. My front walkway is heated.
Right, nice.
So in
Always
Cleveland,
visible.
Ohio, yeah, step, walkway, and stoop. I mean, it takes a $3,000 walkway to a $6,000 walkway, or whatever the numbers might be. But I mean, we've arrived kind of, I live in a modest home in a modest area outside of Cleveland, Ohio, and it's a nice thing that when people come to your house and get out in your drive and they go, "Where's the snow?"
Right.
There isn't any. Come on in and have a beer, right?
That's cool.
That kind of thing.
And it's safe.
Yeah.
Well, I think that then the argument I think we could be made that you should do something. You don't have to go the full Monty, but you should do something.
So social
even if
media
it's
is
just
free.
a Facebook. That's exactly right. And then keeping that up is actually fairly easy to do. One of the things that, in fact, we've given you packets of each. The brick by brick apprenticeship program. One of the topics of discussion in this office at least once a week is the situation with the trades. By the way, are you both familiar with Mike Rowe?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot of the inspiration that I've ever gotten in regards to, getting into the trades comes from him. He verbalizes it better than I think anybody does. But a lot of what we see in our industry, guys need to be trained. They need to be trained on this stuff. You guys do a terrific job doing it at Techo. But the one of the things, and he can speak to it better than I can because it was his idea and he developed it. But we're both on the same page in regards to this. I mean, there's 18-year-olds coming out of high school that are woefully unprepared to work. I mean, just not prepared to do that. And, a big chunk of them are going to college, which is fine. I mean, I went to college. You went to college. We all went to college. But what's happening is, I don't know about you, but I can speak to myself. I mean, I started working when I was 15. And, you're not seeing that now. So the guys that are going to be getting into your industry that you would expect to be into your industry by the time they're 25 years old, they need to be trained. And one of the things, why don't you...
Well, it comes down to how do we bring
take
it
a
in?
hand off on the brick by brick deal.
Yeah. I guess the concept is, how do you bring the next generation in? What are your thoughts? Because that's painfully challenging, I think.
Yeah, we're not talking about 35-year-old guys that started with a pickaxe and a shovel and a pickup truck and worked their way up into 3 crews and, a $1 million business or $1.5 million business every year. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think you said it wrong again. You said he, and it should be
Good point.
everybody.
Sure. Right.
And you said 35 and you said 25, and I think there's people that are in their 60s that would be awesome in our industry that should be actively involved, and all races, colors, creeds, and if you want to be successful and you have defined success for yourself and you've done it in writing, and you mentioned earlier, I mean, does it need to be in writing? Everything needs to be in writing.
Right.
If you're going to look at it every day, go to Grant Cardone's series of books, the most famous being the 10 times rule, and everything has to be in writing, and it's been written many times. So if you're one of those people, and I speak at vocational schools and trade schools all over the country, and I speak at churches, and I speak anywhere anyone will talk to me about careers and growing and being successful, and say, if you have it in mind that you want, to own a bunch of old cars, I own a bunch of old cars, and I'm proud of it, and you want to, be a gun guy or a golf guy or a girl or whatever, you want to travel the world and see, I've been fortunate enough to run the bulls in Spain and, jump in the Mediterranean and, seen, some spectacular sites like Stampede in Calgary, Canada, really cool things. You want to do those things? Well, this is the industry for you. So let's figure out where you fit in this industry. Is it working in the channel model where you're working with a distributor at a counter or outside sales, or or in the warehouse, or in the yard, or trucking, right? Or is it that side of it? Is it in the contracting where you're doing marketing, or you're doing sales, or you're doing installation, or you're managing a team, coaching a team is probably a better word. Is that something that appeals to you? Yeah. Or is it working in a manufacturer? You manufacture images that are spectacular and huge and small and modest, right? And everything in between. We manufacture concrete pavers and retaining walls and plank stones and concrete paving slabs. Is that appealing to you? Would you like to talk to us about our finance department, our marketing department, our sales department, or our admin department? And we have lots of departments that do almost 1,000 employees now, Techo-Bloc, and they do a spectacular job of making doing business with us easy, right? Are those things appealing? And then we say, okay, almost backward plan. I would like to make X amount of dollars per year. Right, I would like to travel X amount of days per year. I'm an old fast car guy or girl or whatever. Like archery or guns or whatever it is that your hobby is. Okay, you want to do all these things. Okay, let's figure out how to get those things within this framework of awesome, because we get to be outside and we get to interact with super cool people like you guys and talk about our families and fun and making money and being successful, but. When you get a phone call from somebody when you ship them an image, clear across the country to California, and they open it up and they're just at a loss for words. We get that same feeling when we ship travertine raw to somebody for their pool deck and it gets done and their kids are running around and it's slip resistant and it's beautiful and they get to enjoy it, whether it's winter or summer, and then they get to go outside there and it's clean block technology. So even if they spill mustard on it when they're making their hot dogs, it just hoses right off. They're like, "Hey, we love you guys. Yeah, we love you back."
Those are great calls.
Yeah, those are great calls, and we get to enjoy it. They get to enjoy it, and everybody gets to achieve their goals, which should be in writing, and do all the things with their family and their faith and.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
So I've got this. We talked a bunch on probably 3 or 4 different episodes. This concept of the bell curve, which I think applies to all of life. You've got your 20% of the people that are going to go out of business or they're really going to struggle. You got the masses, and you got maybe the 10 to 15, maybe 20%, the real high achievers, the people that can grow. And I've always thought that getting goals down on paper was one of those. I don't know if it's on the top 10 list of important things to do. But you're talking about these old cars, and maybe you with a blacktop grill. I never really gave that. I always thought about professional goals. But the hobby of the old cars, how is that related? I mean, because you hit on something there outside of the world of Techo-Bloc. How much of a driver?
I don't think it's outside of the world.
You don't think? Okay.
Anybody who tries to say there's business, life, and then there's life, your personal life, your religious life, your whatever, is going to drive themselves insane. They're going to create anxiety and I'm working now at Techo-Bloc now, but I'm not, because I was with Risers Landscape Supply. Yes, Risers. They're awesome.
Yep.
They're Jeep guys. I'm a Jeep guy.
Right.
And so in between helping contractors learn about tools, we were talking about Jeeps. I'm with my friend. We just happened to work together. I gave him a hard time in his interview, and he did really, really well.
50-50.
Yeah. He did really, really well. But he's my friend, and when we were done work, we went and had steaks at his house, drank a couple of beers. His dad came over. His mom came over.
Pretty cool.
And we were playing with the dog, and he's not thinking, I've got a business person over at my house. It's
a friend.
It's my friend is over at my house. And we're not trying to separate that. And when you try to separate that and say, okay, now let me put my shirt and tie on, I'm going to go and close this sale, this is the wrong industry for you. That's very myopic. We like to think of it as, when we're on the road doing our showcases, which start the middle of January, it's 30 cities in 2.5 months. It's a
bear.
It's a grind.
Yeah, but when everybody around you is joking, you know what I mean? They're doing funny things, and you're doing funny things, and you're telling jokes, and we're throwing ice cream. We do funny things every year during the show to make it, we're throwing, ice creams out into the audience, and everyone's going, we got to pay attention because they might hit us in the head with an ice cream cone here.
Right.
And the audience is genuinely receptive. Do we make mistakes? Sure, we're human. We make mistakes, and they say, "Hey, wait a minute," and you go, "Yeah." We call it humble pie when we make a mistake
Right.
when we film something, and they win prizes if they catch the mistakes we make, and it's a little bit of self-deprecation in there,
Sure.
but overall, I think the contracting community, our distribution community, us as a manufacturer, you guys as vendors in our marketplace that supply images, or a vendor that supplies lighting like InLight or Aquascape that I mentioned earlier. I think we all get along real good, and we're all friends. And if we run into each other in the lobby of a hotel, we're like, "Hey man, what are you doing? Do you have time for a soda pop real quick?" You know what I mean? How's your family? And you know them, and you know their kids.
Right.
And they know your kid, and what is your daughter doing? And like, oh, wow, and it's
Catching up.
yeah,
You
it's
look
just,
at this, you look at this industry, just having a relationship with a contractor or a distributor or a manufacturer. I mean, you tease me all the time about it. I mean, these people that I deal with on the phone every day are friends of mine. I mean, it works out that way. Okay, you can't help but spend all that time with somebody and just not have some kind of relationship on some level, and you get to know what they're doing. And you're doing it for 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years. My wife doesn't understand that. Just who's this woman calling you? Well, first of all, she's a client. Just understand that.
Yeah.
But it truly is. I think you're absolutely right about that. They're not in. They're one in the same, and they should be. They absolutely
and
should
when you're doing your brick by brick apprenticeship program, and when Techo-Bloc is doing recruiting, this is the culture of caring that we need people to understand.
Right.
That we're not bringing you into that mentality of
do a job.
you do a job and then you got to leave. I mean, we're gonna have Christmas parties. We're gonna have swag giveaways, and we're gonna have all kinds of cool things. And you're gonna get to interact in different. Our marketing department interacting with our sales department, our education department interacting with the sales department, our admin department. I mean, everybody's a part of this fun. It's not, a salesman in the old days, you'd say, our salesperson is out on the golf course all day. Now, do we golf? I don't golf, but sometimes, yeah. But our production people, our marketing people are part of those kinds of fun things too.
Sure.
And that's the lifestyle. And if you don't want that lifestyle, then go work in Lucille Ball in the candy factory.
Sure.
That kind of feeling. We're not that, and our industry cannot. As long as I'm around and have a breath in me, I'm not going to allow that to happen.
Right.
We love the people that we work with. We care about them. I want to eat. I'm in Detroit with Jeff Finley, who's one of our great members of our team. And he's like, "My wife's joining us for dinner." I'm like, "I would hope so." Right? And we're eating Detroit-style pizza, right? He goes,
"Cool.
Of course, you're in town. How would we miss that?" Or in Chicago with Michael Berry, who's one of our great team members. And he's like, "We're going to sit in the parking lot and drink a Busch Light." I'm like, "I don't like Busch Light, but I'm going to drink one with you." Right? Because we just sit there and we have a great conversation about our history and our families, and that is so valuable that when Mike and I are together in Chicago, we're kind of looking forward to that.
Sure.
We're going to get through our day, and you never know, one of our contractors might pull up and have a beer by that tailgate with us, and
That's pretty cool.
and have a great conversation, and we forget, everything about everything. Just we're talking about old cars, we're talking about whatever hobby or family that we want to talk about.
Sure.
This is the answer to what I think is a misnomer, that there's a labor shortage. There's plenty of people in North America to work, plenty of people to work. We just got to present them a culture. They say, "I want to be a part of that. This is a surfable wake, and I want on board. How do I get on board?"
About making memories.
Yeah.
And having fun and still working.
Yeah, we
Right.
did some at HNA last week.
A lot of a lot of tailgate talks and hanging out and just
Get your
friends.
pictures taken with people. Just fooling around and out running equipment, and it's just a lot of fun. People are excited to see you, and you're excited to see them.
Right.
Did you do 4th Street?
We don't do that much anymore.
Really?
Yeah, one of our team members has an RV, and another team member, customer has an RV, and a contractor has an RV, and we kind of circle the wagons and put a fire boulder in the middle.
Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah,
It's a great time.
We grilled brats, and lots of brats and burgers, and I don't know. We just sat around talking and catching up, and then a new group would show up, and then we would leave because we were expected somewhere, and we'd Uber back, and then it was like, oh my God, there's 60 people. Where did they come from? I think we saw more people, in our little covered wagon circle there than we did in the show, and everyone's got something to offer. Some. A clean and protector, an adhesive company, a concrete, a natural stone, and everyone's talking and interacting, and then all of a sudden you hear them talking about, some new shotgun that they bought, Italian shotgun for shooting skeet, and you're like, wait, I want in on that conversation. What's going on over there, and it was just all, and then pretty soon 3 days passed like that, and we're heading back to
driving back
our lives again.
Hours.
Yeah.
You mentioned something that kicks around in my brain, Ryan. With the marketing, the past 3 years, everyone's had a tail at their back, right? The industry's been, I don't know what the
on fire.
It's on fire. The next 3 years are not going to look like the past 3 years. Fair statement.
Oh, for sure.
So, how do you think through that level of stress that's going to bring upon the industry, and how much do you think the industry was up double digits, 15%, 20%? How do you think about the global industry? I don't know if it's square footage.
I think it's still larger than what 2019 is now. We don't know the next few years how it's going to go, to be honest with you. And that's why I think it's important for guys to start making a presence out there again, so that way they have good content and things are up to date and just ready to go.
Okay, that answers. That's the.
Well, how big is the shock? Let's say it was up 15, 20%. Is it going to go down 20%, or
we don't? It's
no one knows.
We don't know.
It's not going to be a 2% decline.
And if you look at the growth curve of any product, let's take the most famous economic growth curve, disposable diapers, and say, in the beginning, no one used disposable diapers because they used cloth diapers with a little pin on them.
Yep.
Right? And your mom or your dad, somebody washed it and they used it again.
Right.
And then they figured out these disposables are way better.
No, yeah.
Because we don't have to clean them. We can just throw them away. So look at that growth curve was pretty flat in the beginning, and then you started to see like people, I don't have to clean poopy diapers anymore, and it was just a straight up shot. And now, as the population increases and decreases, you see slight bumps in it. But I mean, we're way at the top. Nobody uses pinned cotton diapers anymore. If you look at the segmental pavement, permeable pavement, segmental retaining wall industry, we're so far into the bottom of that growth curve that the percentages are just tiny bumps up and down. You look at Germany, which may be up in here, or just say Europe in general, 25 square foot per capita consumed. In the United States, it's 2.5 square foot per capita consumed. So
there's the opportunity.
Even if there's a little dip down and a little dip up, as long as we keep focusing from the contractor's perspective on job pricing, marketing, on selling, helping people make a good informed buying decision, and doing great work fast installation, that contracting community will win. If our dealers and the channel distribution model are focused on helping the contractors win, with products and services and delivery capabilities and super sacks and all the great things that the very important part of the equation that channel distribution. And if manufacturers like yourself and like myself keep focusing on quality and value and innovation, and if we keep doing these things, we're just going to keep heading up that curve. Yeah. So even that little blip, you say 10, or is it 10? Is it 15? Is it 12? Exactly. It's a little blip. People know now that interlocking pavement, concrete paving slabs, flank stone, segmental retaining walls are the best product ever invented in world's history. It dates back 7,000 years. There's no better pavement. There's no better structural retaining structure in the world, dating back to the Chinese and the Great Wall of China and all that. There's nothing better. And they look awesome. Oh, yeah. And they can be cut into great images, and they can be banded and bordered and accented, and all kinds of great things can happen. they're never going back. The days of, I'm going to make a joke here, pouring cement in your backyard.
Right.
Yeah, because cement's a powder.
Sure.
Pouring cement in my backyard and having a pad are done. That's going to be some track builders. The days of using air conditioning pads to make a walkway into a custom home, it's never going to happen again.
Right.
People want antique and rustic and modern textures and scale and color. What we at Techo-Bloc call the design. They want it. They're never going back. They're going to find a way to afford it.
Sure.
'Cause they want it.
So we're so early in the industry's cycle per capita that should offset any pain that we have.
I think the commercial area should also grow quite a bit with everything
True.
wanting to go green and the permeable pavements, segmental permeable pavements that are options out there. They're easier to maintain. They last longer than an asphalt or concrete permeable porous pavements. It's just they cost more to initially do, but they are going to be the next big thing for the commercial area.
You'd be amazed at how many municipal engineers, even landscape architects, they don't think in terms of lifetime cost. They think about upfront,
Right now.
and they're not extending it out. That's part of our education
How
too.
this business got started.
Yeah, I mean we replaced a decorative concrete, 4 of them, intersections that broke down after 18 months, and we replaced them with pavers, decorative pavers that turned into paver art. But this concept of what's that cost over 30 years? Believe it or not, that's hit or miss in terms of people getting their head around it.
Yeah.
That's part of our challenge every day.
Yeah, I think people are seeing the value though.
Right.
They know when when you move every 7 to 11 years, I think is the average. It
Right.
was 7. I think it's closer to 11 now, but let's say 7 to 11 years. And you sell your house, and people say, "I bought that house or from you because it had this beautiful outdoor living space."
Sure.
And then you sell your next home, and they go, "We love the heated walkway," right? That's what. And then you go to your third house, right? I'm on my third or fourth house.
Right.
I can't remember, but you start saying, "Wait a minute, there's a common denominator here."
Right.
You know what I mean? I keep investing in my outdoor living space, and when I do decide it's time to move, even within my community or to a different state or whatever, I sell my house sooner or my property sooner
Because you got the memorable
and
piece.
for more money.
More value.
And
Yeah.
they keep seeing that, and you take these commercial properties where they're putting segmental permeable pavement or segmental retaining walls in that are attractive, not these big concrete bin blocks that look like they should be holding aggregate, not earth, just awful looking, but something that's structural but decorative, has a clean modern look to it or a rustic look to it, whatever. And they say, you know what, when I go to sell that building or when I go to rent that building, there's more people that want to buy it,
Sure.
that want to rent it, that want to even in we're close to Philadelphia. If you read Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, there's a whole chapter on pavement where he talks about how that pavement and not dragging through the mud and wagons going through the mud and potholes have led to increased revenue and people wanting to go gravitating to an area because they could safely ambulate across it. Now, not only can we give you safe ambulation, but we can give you traffic calming. Slow down traffic makes it safer for pedestrians. We can give you a greater solar reflectivity index so we can dissipate the heat. So there's less of an urban heat island effect.
Sure.
Here's a low fossil fuel consumption kiln. So concrete paving stones don't take thousands of degrees in a kiln to get to, it's an exothermic reaction. It's just concrete cures, it creates heat. We capture that heat and circulate it with free water. And, it's awesome. It's 8,
Right.
10, 12,000 PSI. It's incredible. And so good for the environment then, good for business now. I want in, and I think after 30 years, that's why I'm still Paver Pete and
Sure.
Partnered with, a great company like Techo-Bloc and my friend Hardscape Social. That's why I don't think the economy is going to hurt some people. And there's some people that do need to leave our marketplace that aren't maybe ethical.
Quality.
Their quality is
Right.
poor.
Sure.
Whatever the case might be, they're going to drop out. Distributors, manufacturers, contractors will drop out. It's a market correction, and it's necessary. It's why economies are cyclical like that.
Sure.
But the ones that survive, and it'll be the vast majority of us, will come out with great social media, great search engine presence, great traditional campaigns, strategies on sales, knowing our numbers better. And there's great companies like Blue Claw Associates, Aspire, LMN, Synced Up, all these great companies that are helping contractors understand their numbers better. And tools like Pave Tool and, for building stuff without, ruining your legs and your back and your elbows and stuff that whole time. And whether it's 1 year or 3 years or 5 years of a downturn in the economy, I think 2008 was, some people say 3 years, some people say 5, before we came out of it. When that downturn occurred, when we come out of it, we're going to be well up into here,
Right.
in that growth curve.
Well, I think I'm maybe poke around both of your thoughts on career management and things like that. We started talking about Paver Pete. I'm interested. You were a personal brand before that became a buzzword. You've had this for a while now, right? And one of the things I noticed with Techo-Bloc, it's Techo Ryan. It's Techo, is it Tap House, Jeff Tap House?
Techo Tap House.
Yeah, I don't know if that's an intentional thing or not, but I noticed that's kind of unique.
Try to brand-wise, not brand.
Tied a person with the company, or
kind of, yes.
well, give me your thoughts on maybe one of the things or the stressors as the economy goes down. We did an episode on quiet quitting, remember? This phenomena of people just doing enough to get by, but not going above and beyond, and that whole phenomena. And so as it relates to career management, personal branding, no real specific question, but I'm interested in top of mind thoughts as it relates to your business and how you think about careers. And you both have had, you too, great long runs. How do you think about careers, especially coming into a tougher economic condition?
Careers, I don't know, not really sure. Career-wise,
We'll talk about what you've been doing to help with social media, other reps.
Because you're stepping beyond just a normal sales
you head
role.
up the social media subcommittee.
Yeah, that's unusual.
A big deal.
That's unusual. Usually
it's a big deal.
Like
he does a great job. With
you're the Ocean County. What was it? Ocean County sales rep, or whatever you open it up with.
Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore, right?
Yeah, there's 5 reps.
But then you're doing
Jersey,
this other thing. That's not typical for a territory sales manager.
No.
So you're stepping out and doing above and beyond things.
Yeah.
Is that because you like to do it, or?
I love it. It's fun. That's why it's fun for me to learn, read, listen to podcasts as well, and little shorts, little 5 minutes or less, little tips of the day type things. I learn little things, and I go and I try it, and I learn it, and I become a master at it, and then I share it with Pete, certain people, and a couple other coworkers first, like Techo Tap House, Jeff Tap House.
Yep.
And then we
Hardscape mechanic, Hardscape MD. There's a bunch of us. But he's being modest because he creates these little screen captures. So, I grew up when we had punch cards in college, right? And we used COBOL, Common Business Oriented Language, before all this modern stuff. So, I'll get something from him and like, you got to do this. I'm like, oh, really? Do I really need to do this? And I'll call him. He goes, yeah, watch it. And I'll go, okay, meaning it's important. And he creates these screen captures and he's talking over them, and you could see his finger moving, outlines on there. And I'm like, well, this wasn't so hard. Why was I, and he's done this for us within Techo-Bloc, but for dealers and contractors nationally. It's really
switched some reps over to certain key accounts. For Instagram, being under a business account limits you actually for what you can get access to for music-wise on Reels. So if I don't know how yours is set up, if anything, I would look to see setting it up as a creator account. It'll get pushed out there more, so get more views, more options. So if it's set up as a business account, that's when you want to. Then you can make a shop and you can start selling products and stuff off that shop alone. Or you could just do a creator account and direct people to your website or your link tree that has all your links together in one spot, like your website, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You click on it, it opens up, and it has all the different links, like on my link tree and my Instagram, my Facebook, and all those pages that I have my link up there. I have our catalog, spec book, specialty fire pit, sign up for showcase, and then I also have all my other social media accounts linked on it as well, so more people have access to see more with one spot. Because in Instagram you only put one website up.
I think Pete was right. You're modest. I'll give you one example of your impact and how the Techo brand kind of grows with it. We had some project that Techo was being spec'd in. We had to figure out how to get our hands on 2 pallets of blue, whatever.
Oh,
right.
That was.
And I'm like, I don't want to call it. I go on the website.
There was that big
Siena College. You're right.
College.
It was a big 20-foot logo, right? And I forgot how we had to get our hands on your product, right?
Yep.
And we didn't know what distributor, and We don't. Anyway, so I messaged you.
Yep.
He's all right. Here's where you got to call. Boom, 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 and then some other thing. I forgot even what the topic was. You probably want to talk to Alex in our marketing department. I'm like, great, this is pretty cool. And I'm like, and I'm shouting. I'm in that office right there. I'm shouting out the bull. Ryan Ravalli is pretty good. I mean, real quick, responded quick. That stuff matters. It really does.
Responding fast.
Oh, it's everything.
Huge. It's the follow up that we're just talking about. It's the being able to respond fast.
Right.
There's something to be learned there.
Look, that's old school.
That's where you're going to get people that are going to want to work with you more. Like you're going to reach out to me. And
Your brand, the Techo brand, is tied to the sales. I believe. I'm a little old school in this regard, but if I have a good experience with you, you're responsive, and we solve a problem, and I don't have to sit on a switchboard. The brand, just whether it's subconscious or not, and that's what we want to do business with. I mean, it's pretty good. You are modest, but I mean, those little things that you're quick and you solve a problem, they really do matter, I think.
And how you've been able to coach people
Yes.
to do the same. So that, as
Right.
we've expanded, we're distributing in California and Texas and things that, 20 years ago, we didn't, what are you
That
doing?
wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah. We had one plant in Montreal, and now we have, 10 manufacturers.
Are you guys national now?
Yeah.
You are.
And,
Good for you.
yeah, and more coming, just to keep up with the growth. Again, back to that curve, we know that, we just finished a big facility in Toronto, already ordered the second machine for that plant, and
Congrats.
we're looking in the South and in California to expand, and we're already ready to go. We need to. We have to. The demand is there. They want those innovative products and modern styles that.
You're going to have great success in California.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
I'm familiar with
Yeah.
a lot of the products out there. You guys are going to knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
If you use the same standards that you're using here, you're going to be you're going to do
And
exceptionally
we're shipping
well.
out there easily right now, but it's the logistics of getting
course.
it there is the
Yeah.
hard part. Getting closer to there it should.
And when
It should
you
explode.
look at our warranty in the back of our catalog, you see that we offer all of our products to the Canadian standard, even though they're produced in the U.S. So whether we're shipping into Southern California, Texas, or the Northeast, or into Toronto or Montreal or Calgary,
or to Paver
it's
Art.
or to Paver, it's still the toughest standard for pavers and walls in the world that we manufacture to. So we don't care that it's made in Pennsylvania or it's made in Indiana or it's made in Illinois. It doesn't make any difference to us. It's going to be made to that
'Cause
tougher standard.
all plants have.
Yeah,
to
and people
follow
say, well, that's not necessary. It's Southern California. It's not necessary. Yeah, live with it for a couple of years and tell me it's not. Yeah.
That's why you're going to be successful
That's
out in
right.
California.
Yeah.
That's-
They're going to pay for it, but they're going to get the value, and the people that rebuy from us, it's like giving a contractor who gives a discount on the job, right? Then they get a referral from that person, and that person demands a discount. It's a never-ending cycle.
Right.
We have a price. That's the price. You're going to get great quality. We stand by what we do. That's it. Right, and there's not a debate there. Now let's pick colors and styles, and
Right.
textures.
We asked the question on what are the functions that you talked about? Do you think how is the job costing? What's the learning curve out there, or the expertise established? Obviously, that's part of your sessions, but job costing, making money on every job, is that a big deal for contractors in terms of going up that learning curve? Are they doing cost plus? Do you see a wide range?
Yeah, you cannot be a great installer unless you're a great job pricer. Because the first time you do the job is in your head. You break out the job by function. I'm going to do an interlocking pavement or a water feature, a fire feature, a cooking feature, whatever. And then you break down each one of those. Okay, what's it take to build a cooking feature? I got to have a porous concrete pad. I got to, my first course takes a little more time than every other course. I got to build I need lentils, or I need a self-bridging unit. I need doors and drawers and grills and griddles and all these things that go into that. And you put these are the steps to do that, and you break each one of those steps down by labor, equipment, material, and subs. And you need to do the job in your head, and then you give that information to your lead person who's out there on the job, who's coaching a team that's constructing this, and they're going, okay, here's the next step, and here's how many hours it should take us to do this step, and this step, and this step, and this step, and this
Sure.
step, and it becomes something that you can track and you can and improve upon and maintain high levels of quality and production. So in order to be a great installer, you have to be great at the math.
Sure.
The other side of that is understanding expenses, and I think there's been a lot of misinformation about what's break even, what's cash flow, and is overhead and expenses the same thing, and all these kinds of variable and fixed overheads, and all these kinds of words that there's a good book, Profit First for Contractors, that if you're not an accountant is a great book. If you are an accountant, it's an absolute nightmare because he uses words in the wrong way, and he tells you he's doing it, but if you've learned it for 30 years a certain way, it's pretty hard to read.
What's the name of the book again?
Profit First for Contractors. But understanding what those expenses are, understanding how you're going to recover them, typically based on a labor hour, and understanding how to know those costs, discipline those costs, recover those costs, put them into your labor hour calculation, and understanding when those dollars are going out and when money's coming in, balancing those two, so we're not spending a whole bunch of money on marketing when we have no money coming in. Those kinds of things can be one of the bigger hurdles. That's why I think Charles Vanderkoy, God rest his soul, was one of the innovators in coaching people and pricing jobs. And now we have, like I said, we have Aspire and LMN and Synced Up and Know Your Numbers and all these great companies that are doing it. And we at Techo-Bloc, pick one. we like them
Any
all.
method.
I got people ask me all the time.
Yeah.
And I just share them, like, these companies are all great companies.
Yeah.
Reach out to them, talk to them.
But let's get a firm understanding of, the profit is your company's, pi is a symbol for profit in accounting, is your company's reward for risk, not yours. You get paid. You're a salaried employee. If you're working on jobs, you're an hourly employee or team member, and you get paid for that. And this profit, and it needs to be a real number, net profit, what I like to call clean profit, meaning it's what the board of directors is going to sit around the table and decide what to do with, has nothing to do with you being compensated.
Right.
If you're an entrepreneur, and I know that's the theme of your podcast, you should, and you're working 80 hours a week or 70 or 60, you should be compensated for 60, 70, or 80 hours.
Sure.
A fair wage. If not, sell everything you got and whatever it's worth and the goodwill and go work for somebody 60, 70, or 80 hours a week.
That's right.
And you'll make more money. You have to get paid. There's not a time that as an entrepreneur you say, okay, I'm going to work my butt off 80 hours a week. I'll pay myself 40. I'll get by, but then 5 years from now, then I'm going to start. No, that's not how it works. You make money now.
Right.
Every day now. And if you don't know how, let's slow down and figure that out first. When I made my little list of the things that they need to do, job pricing, marketing, selling, and installation, job pricing is first. If you don't know your numbers, you should never spend a marketing dollar. You should never put a person on the road in a truck going door to door and sitting at kitchen tables and pitching features, benefits, and values. Forget it. Or build anything.
Right.
How are you going to build something if you haven't gone through the process of what PVC pipe you need, and what connectors you need, and what primer and cement you need to bind those things together? You need all those things.
So you mentioned that contractors were the number 2 behind restaurants for business failure?
Yep.
Is it because they don't have that piece? That's got to be the number one reason.
Yeah. What's a cheesesteak cost?
Planning.
Right.
Right. What's it cost to make a cheesesteak downtown?
Right.
My wife's from Pittsburgh. So we say downtown.
Right.
Right. What's it cost? I mean, the bread, the mayonnaise, the whiz, the meat, the steam table, the griddle, you got to know what that costs. And I think some of the most successful restaurants are the ones that you pay the bill and you go, ooh, that was kind of salty, but boy, it was, the bill was salty. But the food was fantastic.
Right.
And the service was great. And the drinks were cold. And I can't think of a reason why, other than it seems like a lot of money, that I wouldn't come back here tomorrow.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's how we have to be with pricing jobs in the hardscape community. You're building something. You own a $500,000 home. You put $150,000 into your landscape. You don't have a $500,000 home anymore.
Right.
And this is something that pays you back. There's not a depreciation scale on this. This is appreciating with the property value.
Sure.
And if with a little bit of care, now we do have products that are pre-protected, so there's nothing you need to do. But let's say you choose something else that we have. You do a post-construction wash and a protectant, which we're teaching a class tomorrow on. teaching the contracting community more about, opening the pores of the concrete and applying breathable protectants that, will resist mineral deposits and efflorescence and organics, and ketchup and mustard and wine and all those things too.
Sure, the
And you
important
just
stuff.
get to enjoy. Yeah, you just
Hose it off.
hose it off. Wait for it to rain and the stain's gone. Right. That and
Good stuff.
yeah.
A lot of discipline involved with that, though. A lot of discipline, wouldn't you think?
Well, I think it's the way again.
And
I think
by the
we
way,
wrote that.
when I say discipline, there's the discipline to learn it.
Yeah.
There's the discipline to apply it. But
Well, there's small
also,
businesses.
But there's and as
time.
a small business,
Time,
there's
that's it.
There's
That's
the
the big
discipline
thing.
to say no. And when a job, you're bidding a job, and it's they're just hammering you. It's too much. It's
walk away.
Exactly. There's a
You gotta
discipline
know
in
when to walk
walking
away.
Exactly.
Right.
And sometimes it's best to. I mean, I know guys that won't work for people. This is their price, and that's it. And if it's not, they're gone. They're not gonna add the stress to themselves.
Sure.
Right.
So,
But
why
we have
should they-
finance programs. There's ways of phasing it in. People want, the swimming
have to do it all
pool
at one
area,
time.
and they
Yeah.
want the outdoor kitchen. Okay, well, let's get the swimming pool now. We'll do the outdoor kitchen next year. So there's ways of
break it up.
making it affordable for that client. Without stress. Without getting into debt. I'm a big Dave Ramsey guy, right? So without getting into debt, but knowing that you're going to have the ability to pay it off, you're just going to finance it for a short period of time, catch your breath, make sure everything's what it needs to be, and then you pay it off and move on to the next phase.
Right.
So, but to a homeowner or a client, any client, to sit in front of a contractor and beat them up on the price means they don't they're telling you, I don't understand the value, and I don't trust you.
Right.
So you've got to go back to what we were talking about earlier with the sales process and cycle, and reestablish trust that I'm not here to cheat you. I get that if you're going to spend $150,000 in your backyard, you probably had to earn $1.5 million and save and save and save after all your expenses of family and life that go into that. You've had to earn that much just to get this disposable income to do it, and I understand that.
Right.
And I empathize with you, not empathize with you, that it was very difficult to do that. And I'm going to give you something that you're very proud of, that you can say, yes, I worked very hard, but look at this, and come over, and we're going to make a steak on the griddle. Yeah, and we're gonna put a dough, and we're gonna make a great pizza in this wood-fired oven from Italy, and you're gonna love it. And they go, in 90 seconds at 800 degrees, they're having the best pizza they've had in their life. And you're like, I'm in your backyard eating the best pizza of my life. And I've been to Italy, and it really is amazing what you can do at 800, 900 degrees in those ovens.
In 4 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 minutes, you might be burned.
You might be burned.
Yeah,
Exactly
at
right.
that
We had that famous
temperature.
video with the cast iron, with the
Cast iron.
tomahawks
Yeah.
in a wood-fired oven, and it just sizzling and crackling, and
Great imagery.
it's the
good stuff.
sound. You feel like you could smell it. The sound hearing it makes you feel like you want to smell that. And
You would think with all that imagery, I'm ready to write the check after that pitch, by the way. You would think with that world of outdoor living, the romance, the sharing with family and friends, we can attract people into the industry. There's a messaging problem, and I think part of it is you hit it well with the culture, wanting to be part of that experience. It's a communication challenge, I think, with all that. But there's so much to sell in this industry. It really is.
I love seeing
So
the
much to be a part of.
designs, the ideas that people think of, and one of the big things I love also is being able to be a part of it. So I mean, this photo that's in this right here, the live edge, we call it a live edge.
Yep.
Showed that, and then I think we sold for a commercial job in New Jersey. They're doing it now. I think it's like 10,000 square feet of that now for a walkway area.
Cool.
Wide open because it's just unique, and it's being able to. I pointed it out. I said, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And they're like, oh, I love that. And I would just upserve their product from what it would have been a 3-piece to a hexa, a protected product, so it's easier maintenance
Yeah,
for them.
HT2 plus. Yeah.
HT2 plus, and it's this design purposes. I mean, I love that part of it, just being able to sell ideas that I've seen and thoughts and collaborate with contractors, with Pete and my other coworkers, and just finding out what just and been seeing it guys actually do it.
You know,
Do it.
I'm curious. What'd you say? Upserve versus upsell. I appreciate the way you guys think about words. How you correct the two questions on how we think about it or how we phrase the question. I mean, that does matter.
We're here to help people.
Right.
So and then give the best ideas, best possible. It's up instead of upselling. It could make more money on it. It's upserving because it's gonna be better for them.
Right.
So.
In that same vein, what do you think? What's one of the best books you've ever read that would be helpful from a business standpoint for, say, a startup, a small business, a contractor, hardscape contractor? And I'm sure you've read quite a few.
Yeah, 50 a year. I'm addicted
There you go.
to it. My wife will yell at me to put the books down and go watch TV.
In that case, give us 2.
50 a year. That's impressive.
Yeah, I like it. History, economics, politics, other than the Bible. Anything on servant leadership would be my starting point.
Expand on that. What's the
idea of the military style management where, I'm going to tell you what you're going to do and you're going to do it and I'm going to come back and check to make sure you did it is exhausting for everybody in the chain. When you're out here going, let's do this together. Leadership Playbook is a book that covers this in great detail. And, when you have, a guy like Tom Brady or Peyton Manning that leave very successful franchises and go somewhere else and still win Super Bowls, they go there and they practice. They go there and they train with their new teams. They don't stop, right? And they're side by side with everybody doing it, right? It's not, and now that you've seen, one of those two not doing as well because they're not practicing, they're not training. There's not that environment of, they go on the field and say, you're expected to just do this and do that. Then everything crumbles. The culture crumbles. But when they're out there every day and they're the first one there and they're the last one to leave, it's not hard to work hard when Ryan's at your hotel lobby drinking coffee. They going, are you coming down? Yeah, you're early. He goes, come down. Okay, I'm coming. Right, and he wants to bring me here to have a pork roll sandwich because we're in New Jersey. Right, and then we get to wherever we need to be before anyone's like, well, you guys are early. Yeah, we like it. Yeah, right. And that's part of the him being a leader in this local market. Saying to me, this is important. We'll be the first ones there. Right, and our friendship's important. You're gonna have a pork roll too, on top of it. So I think anything servant leadership is good. Leadership Playbook's a very good one. Another one that I would recommend is Checklist Manifesto, and it's written from a doctor's perspective, who's also a pilot, and how those two things are critical to living. You could crash a plane and die, or you could have a bad surgery and die, right? So they have checklists that they use, and I think we wing things a lot in the restaurant business, which is why there's so much failure. And in landscaping and hardscaping and contracting, we don't systemize it. We don't create a systemization where everything is checklisted. We randomly throw tools into a trailer. You can't do that. How many S-wing mason hammers have I buried in people's backyards in 30 years? That's silly. You need to have a checklist that every day you put away your tools. They're right. Is the fuel off on the compactor? Yeah. I mean, all these checklists, and this is a great start. Obviously needs to be digitized, but, right. And add little checklists. We have a gentleman that works with us, a team member, Carmelo Campisi, runs our production, and he's the checklist fiend. I mean, he's like, you can't, you want to start the machines up in the morning, and you're setting the table heights and all. He goes through this checklist, and everybody has a laminated checklist, and they literally check it off. And I'm like, you've been running this machine for 30 years. You go through the checklist every morning, right? And yet we get out there on jobs, or we get behind the counter at a dealer, or we go out to help our contractors succeed, and we forget, hey, there's a checklist to that.
Wing it.
Yeah, we're not
Can't wing
shoot
it.
from the hip salespeople should be dead. There's no more shoot from the hip.
Right.
That's why CRM is so powerful. Business intelligence is so powerful. Yes, it makes you more profitable, but it also helps you focus your attention on helping people succeed. And if they succeed, back to servant leadership, then again, it's a surfable wake. We're all, rising tide lifts all boats. We're all more successful. How'd that happen? We all love each other and care for each other. We're all servicing each other, and we're more successful.
Great point. Great point. Oh. Well,
Good stuff.
I'm afraid to look at the clock. We may have set a new record for the podcast.
Is there anything else we left unsaid that we should talk about
Seriously?
that comes to mind?
It was that much
We have our
fun.
showcases coming up next year.
Yeah.
So they're coming
Yeah.
up soon. We'd
Yeah,
love to
don't
see
miss 'em.
everyone.
So now you, where's the first one?
Atlanta.
Atlanta. And then you go up the East Coast?
Yeah,
Or?
I think what's important about that showcase, back to servant leadership, it's not full court press by Techo-Bloc. We would like you to buy Techo-Bloc. We're going to give you catalogs and swag that has our name on it. But it's not a full court press.
Right.
Yeah, we use our products because that's who we are, right? When we're building a retaining wall, we're going to show you how a retaining wall gets built using our block.
Right.
But it's not full court press. So, if you're not one of the, you bought into that brand and a loyal, that's okay. You're a hardscaper, you're a landscaper who thinks about getting into hardscaping. You should come. The owners of Techo-Bloc, the family that owns Techo-Bloc, has done, and they should get lifetime achievement awards for putting the money into helping the contractors train and practice and be better at all these facets that we've talked about. And we don't, we do it all year long, but this is the one time a year that you're going to come in and feel like you're at a concert. It's awesome. The AV team is incredible. The admin and marketing teams are incredible. Our sales team that comes together to make sure that everyone has a great feeling, and the showcase presenter team, which I'm part of, we practice and practice and practice and practice and practice.
That's why you're so good at it. It's I've
so-
witnessed it firsthand.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it.
No, it's there will be.
Do you have a King of Prussia? Is that one around?
That will be early February. I think
Oh, good.
31st of January, and then the 1st of
That's a
February.
summit too.
The
That's
summit. It's a big
That's
super show.
Yeah, there'll be 30 vendors there. There's lots of things going on at that.
Great place to. Any showcase is great for building relationships, as we talked about earlier.
Sure.
Building relationships and partnerships. So if you're new to the industry, then you're going to see the lighting companies. You're going to see your other contractors.
Compaction,
saws. But even just
tools.
the other contractors locally who you might recognize their logo. And, oh, hey, you work for so-and-so. Then they can kind of maybe get a mentor for themselves. If they're
We may have to
learning.
do this.
The King of Prussia one, yeah.
And then when we're done, we can go over to Shenandoah and visit my mom.
So does the adrenaline still kick up when you go on stage? Or is it now secondhand? Secondhand?
yeah.
Come on, the passion.
Yeah.
The passion with which you give your presentations is palpable. It's tangible. You can cut it with a knife.
Thank
you're
you.
really into it.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. But I've been there. I've witnessed it. It's where does that passion come from?
I think empathy. I have a tremendous amount of empathy for our audience. They're in a difficult quandary of being an expert at job pricing, marketing, selling, and installation. And we have an opportunity to help. And,
And you can do that.
I pray for it. I pray for the knowledge and skill. And that's probably why I read so much. I'm afraid that, I'm not going to be able to help when somebody's in a buying, what equipment do I buy? And, what should I rent or buy? Or, so I spend a lot of time, because there's a lot of young people that enter the barriers to entry into hardscaping are not, if you have a truck and, you can start doing it, right? And if you're smart, you can do it with very little equipment by renting and having your distributors deliver and all that kind of stuff. But they need a lot of help, and we want to help them. And that's why I like, what Ryan's done with our social media subcommittee, just helping us all get up that curve so we can help our customers be better too, and spend their money better. So, passion's enthusiasm over time. Am I enthusiastic after 30 years of doing this? Yeah, I am.
I love it all.
Look, we our goal on the podcast is we want people that listen, however many, to get one nugget. So they've gotten a few nuggets on this podcast. So you guys have done tremendous, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
you
We
for having
appreciate
us.
having you.
Appreciate
Thank you
the
very
time.
much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Right.
Mike.
Terrific.
Thank you,
Thank
Ryan.
you, Mark.
Good stuff.